In case you just tuned in, you're listening to I Walk with Jesus. We're just about beginning. Just ensuring to give you some inspiration before we begin right here on Joy 99.7, your channel for true divine inspiration and tremendous blessing. And I believe you can call your friends and their neighbors and tell them to tune into Joy 99.7 right about now. Hopefully today we'll be trying to bring a concluding part on our discussion on temperament in the light of marriage. Something that helps you to know your partner's temperament so you know how you can proceed and make progress, make the best of your marriage situations or relationship. Thank you for tuning in to Joy 99.7. My name is Ransford Abose, always blessed to be here. My guest in studio, great brother and a friend, wonderful man of God, a blessed counselor and a life coach. Maybe in the circles of where I know him, he cannot go past there. You can't call him without adding elder.
Mercy.
But I like to call him Apostle General. Okay, just trying to cause trouble there.
That one is a title for somebody else.
Okay, we'll find out.
Some big man out there is listening.
We'll find out later who that is. But welcome, my brother. Thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing well. Grace is keeping us.
Family doing okay?
Yeah, and today happens to be the beginning of a new term of office within the COP circles.
Okay.
And today there was induction, farewell services.
Okay. Quite a lot, I know.
Yes, and we're starting another term of office, 4 years again as Deputy Director.
Wow.
And,
wow. Impressive.
It's a humbling experience. This is going to be the fourth of 4 year terms.
Wow. That's 16 years of doing this.
That's going to be 16 years.
Wow.
When we are done. It's the grace of God that can do this, not anything of man. Mortals can't do this. It's absolute reliance on God and total devotion to the framework that the leadership of the church expects of us, which has been the commission of Christ. We pray that God will give us grace, and we thank all those who have been praying and encouraging us to stay and do what God wants us to do. So we'll do just that.
Amen.
And my song has been day by day.
Come what may.
Dear Lord, of these 3 things I pray. To see you more clearly, to love you more dearly, and to follow you more nearly. These 3 things are my prayer cry for the next 4 years.
Okay, we pray the Lord grants it.
Yeah.
So that you continue to make the great impact you're making on our generation and beyond.
Amen.
God bless you. And people, that's life coach and mighty counselor, Amos Kevin-Annan, in studio with us. Today we'll try to see if we can put some nicer up on our discussion over the last 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Talking about temperament in the light of marriage, as it were, which will help you know your partner's temperament and help the relationship situation. We've been discussing this temperament for almost about some 2-3 weeks now. We learned that from temperament was simply traits that differentiate an individual from another. We established also during those discussions that there are 4 fundamental personality types. That is the choleric, the sanguine, the melancholic, and the phlegmatic. I believe if you are following those discussions, you learn quite a lot about yourself and about your partners. Our life coach helped us in the explanation of the general tendencies of each temperament. Tonight on the show, we'll try to discuss how the various temperaments manage stress, manage fear, manage anger, manage conflict, and how they communicate. And I know for those of you probably are having problems communicating with your partners, and it is putting sand in your gari in the relationship, or making a lot of mess in the marriage situation. There are a few things that you can learn today that I believe will help you a great deal. We also will look at the impact of temperaments within the marriage setting, how to manage our weaknesses, and possibly how temperaments affect divorce. Yeah, and I know you can pause upon that. Remember, you can join the conversation with your comments and questions via WhatsApp. Number is 0244-340-437. Again, 0244-340-437. That's for WhatsApp. If you have any questions, any comments, or any discussions you want to put across on our discussion for tonight, you can put it. For those of you who use Facebook, you can do Facebook as at Joy Time. And then you can send it to us. Short code for regular text line is 1422 across our network. Don't flip your dial. Today, we want to start with some very interesting questions. Maybe a quick recap on the general tendencies.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
All those who are listening for the first time, you're also welcome to the conversation. The first two are available, and I'm sure that if you request, you could get them.
You could get copies, yeah.
Well, as you rightly mentioned, two broad categories, which further are divided into four. The two broad categories are extroverts and introverts. The extroverts have stronger appeal outside, and the introverts tend to be more engrossed within. Now, given this scenario, you also have additional two added between the two. So you have the sanguine and the choleric being those who are extrovertic. And then you have the melancholy and the phlegmatic being those who are introvertic. And you can do further permutations that will give you about 12 and then can even further expand it to 36 if you do the various combinations. Now, for those who are familiar with the disc analysis test, you would be used to high I, high D, high S, high C. So when you hear sanguine, choleric, phlegmatic, you may be confused. But when you hear a high I, the influencer, you are talking about the sanguine. If you hear the high D, you are talking about the choleric, who is more dominant person. If you hear of the high S, you're talking about somebody who is steady. That will be the phlegmatic. And if you're talking about the high C, you're talking about somebody who is compliant. They are more thorough in terms of accuracy, standards, and stuff like that. And that's the melancholy for you. So just to put that out there, because somebody sent me a mail asking for clarity on that. We have also understood that they have basic motivations. So I'm going to the details. We've dealt with the general tendencies and traits of these. We have also brought to bear that there is a union between the parties, and no one party is so bad that you can live with. Depending on how you go about it, you should be able to achieve results when you engage with them. We have also raised some cautions about the whole idea of temperaments, lest you think that they are cast in stone or gold. They are not a fait accompli situation. They are a work in progress. They could be improved upon. They could be varied depending on the setting a person finds him or herself. And no two persons would ever be the same. They may look alike, but they will never be the same. It's very, very important to understand. And then also I realized this evening when I was just reflecting that there must be a distinction between character, personality, and temperament. Character is your true inner person. The one nobody knows. And people will have to dig a little deeper to find it. I mean, those who read the Bible, Peter calls it the inner man of the heart. When you read 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 4, it talks about the inner man of the heart. Then if you talk about personality, it has to do with the outward expression people encounter. He's a harsh person. That's your personality.
He's rude.
He's rude.
He's arrogant.
That's it. But when we talk about temperaments, we are talking about traits. And tendencies that people see as informing your behavior or attitude or response to situations in life. And situations in life may include fear, danger, and all those things. We also say that no one is exclusively a pure breed of a particular temperament. I.e., you are not 100% choleric, 100% melancholy or the others. No, it's always a mixture. And we usually will use the dominant one to describe you. And that may or may not be accurate, but it's still a description. It's just basically a description. We use the temperament to understand ourselves so that we can understand others. And secondly, in conclusion to these few rounding up issues, it helps you to also creatively communicate as you engage with others at their within the differences that are expressed between you and others. And it would also help you to improve on yourself, your general communication, relationship, management of differences, shock, and all those things. So with this, we can start for today.
Okay. So we can shoot straight for it and go and try to find out, how do the various temperaments manage fear, stress, anger, and conflict?
Well, I mean, what we need to understand is that those who are extroverts are really not afraid of fear necessarily. They're actually stirred up by that. Like the roach who saw a raid of afraid and thought it was okay to deal with. The introverts actually usually have issues with fear. The extroverts have issue with anger.
Wow.
The introverts are very good at managing anger, unlike the extroverts. So the extroverts usually will blow the top very easily. And so if you're relating with somebody who is a sanguine, you've got to pay attention to the things that trigger anger in them. Because that is the raw nerve in their lives. And there's a need for you to know. And to be able to understand this, you need to know some of the concerns people tend to have about these personalities.
Okay.
There are several of them. I can mention a few. Whilst we're at it, let's take it from the introverts, for instance. Now, last time I read from Proverbs 30, verse 11 says that there is a kind of a man who curses his father and does not bless his mother. And this is a typical melancholy. Because the fourth line of a melancholy is that they tend to come across as ungrateful. They come across as critical of others because of their particular tendency. And so if you're dealing with such a person, there's a need for you to understand that if you don't handle this aspect well, you stand the risk of triggering fear in them to continue a relationship. And so that will be something. Now, oftentimes, because of their way of analyzing things, they are perfectionists. So, for instance, he's under stress because he wants to make some meaning out of what he's doing. He wants to achieve some targets. And he will not accept error. He will not accept failings. So around a melancholy, for instance, you cannot. And so when he begins to speak, that's when you consider him to be critical. But that is his way of trying to make sure that things are complying. Things are in order. And they also sometimes appear to be people who put others down because they don't motivate them. And they're always looking moody, unexpressive of their emotions. And so you are not too sure if they are happy or sad. You know, when they are in a jubilant mood, oftentimes they won't show it that much. And so such a person, when they are stressed out, you won't see it. And then it cripples them into inactivity. So if your spouse is a melancholy, you need to be careful when you're dealing with them in that way. When you look at the phlegmatic, for instance, and in Proverbs 30 verse 12, said there's a kind who is pure in his own eyes and yet is not washed from his filthiness. This describes the phlegmatic. They are cool and collected, but they can be detached from you. So in a stressful condition, they detach. They go into their own world. They withdraw. Because they are motivated by self-satisfaction. They think of themselves as very good guys. Because they think that, oh, Charlie, me, I'm easygoing, I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm pleasant. I don't create any boiling point and stuff like that. But when it is that they are there, they appear to think that they are better than everybody. It's almost close to the sanguine. Because the sanguine thinks also that way. So oftentimes the sanguine will be seen to be, oh, he's arrogant, he's just call it in his own ways.
They feel superior
to everybody. He enjoys nitpicking and stuff like that. The phlegmatic can be one who will not take leadership. So if he's your spouse and he says he knows that he's supposed to be the head of the home, if he's a male, when he's under stress, he recoils and won't take leadership. So he has to be nudged up.
You need to push them every now and then.
But one good thing about him is that he's a natural peacemaker.
A
natural peacemaker. And because he's also an introvert, he will speak less. If you were to be a choleric, that would have been a different thing. The choleric really doesn't care. I mean, if you don't care, me too, I don't care. We day. You know, they coexist with you. Now, let's look at the choleric. Usually is oftentimes described by people as caustic. He's caustic in the way he talks because of his nature. He's not very relational unless he decides to be intentionally relational. Okay, so Proverbs 30 verse 14 says, there's a kind of a man whose teeth is like a sword, and his jaw teeth like knives, to devour the afflicted on the earth. And that's the choleric. He could be very sarcastic. In the process of conflict, he will use sarcasm. He will be cynical.
Okay.
He can be derogatory
and insulting.
He can be very, very abusive.
Wow.
Abusive. And he can snare at you and curse you if you're not careful.
Ooh.
His tongue is
How
very
do you manage
powerful.
such a person in a relationship?
Such a person, like last time I said, he relates very much to facts.
Okay.
So you don't get into his emotions.
Okay.
Avoid getting anywhere into his or her emotions. Because if there's an issue between the two of you, he's just going to speak to the facts. Oh, we said we're leaving at 5. Whatever has caused us not being able to live at 5 is not his issue. He just wants you to accept that, okay, I faulted. That's all.
That's it. Let's leave it there.
I mean, he plays a game with his spouse, and if he's losing, the marriage will be on tenterhooks.
Oh boy.
Because he's a strong-willed individual. You see, such people, you've got to play diplomacy and tact with them. But if you go fire for fire, boot for boot, bumper for bumper,
you will run away.
You can't be around him.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's a very funny one.
Yeah, you know, that's just on the lighter side. But he's also one who has a high degree of social justice. And so when it is that he's right, you better concede that you are wrong. The irony is that when they are wrong, hardly will they see they are wrong.
Wow. So even when they're wrong, they think they're right.
They think they're right. And that's why you've got to appeal to the facts. Because when, you see, facts will speak for themselves.
That's
when
true.
the facts are, dismembered, and it is there, or like a puzzle, cues, various cues are created, he looks at it and realizes that, everything points to the fact that I'm in error.
But that's going to take quite a bit to convince him.
It takes a bit of time. Thankfully he is very sound in his judgment.
Okay.
Because he's project driven and wants to hit targets and want to achieve results. And so he always wants to achieve results, but he needs facts.
Okay.
And figures, if you have any, not emotions. You could do well with emotions around the sleek sanguine. For the sleek sanguine, Proverbs 30 verse 13 says that there's a kind, how lofty are his eyes, and his eyelids are raised in arrogance. Look at it. That's one of the bad sides of a sanguine, that they are set in their ways and they can blow their own trumpet. Charlie, everybody blow your trumpet. He'll be the first to blow his own.
Like the song was made for them, right?
Exactly. Because you see, for him, his decisions are based on feelings.
Okay.
So this one, you can get into his emotions.
Okay.
Draw into his emotions, because his emotions are both his strengths and his weaknesses.
Wow. They can make or break him.
Yeah. Because he wants to be loved by everybody. He doesn't want to create rifts and conflicts, because for them, relationships and friendships are eternal. Yeah. And because you're also prone to making quick decisions, they easily can say, okay, let's settle it.
Okay.
But then afterwards, they go and reflect and they go, I made a terrible mistake. I should not have conceded.
This can be problematic in their negotiations.
Exactly.
You know?
And when you have a sanguine that you are dealing with in the area of conflict, engage him in conversations.
Okay.
It's about conversations. Don't try to bring facts, because for him, the facts don't mean anything to him. He's not a choleric. Because he can be a great joker.
Okay.
He's jovial in his nature, not joker in the sense that he doesn't take life seriously, but because of his humorous nature, he's able to come along. And then if you use humor there's this program which is available, I think, online. They call it word pictures.
Okay.
So instead of just using raw words, you create a picture in their minds.
Okay.
It's raining cats and dogs. You go like, cats and dogs? Cats and dogs for where? Then, you see, you get him excited because he likes pictures.
Okay.
He likes to see things created in a scenery form.
Okay.
Because he's a conversationalist.
Okay.
And unlike the choleric, who is not such a great conversationalist, he thinks that too much conversation is boring. I mean, and this particular one, sanguine, spare him the details. Spare him the details.
He doesn't want to hear it.
Give the details to the choleric. The choleric dot the I's and cross the T's. If you escape any one of those, forget it. The choleric is not going to give you attention. And so spouses who use tears as manipulative tools, they've got to be careful, because see, oftentimes wives who are sanguine could manipulate their spouse who is a choleric by tears, but the choleric will never be moved.
So they think you are insensitive.
Exactly. So you see him and
you're uncaring.
Uncaring.
Ooh.
And the choleric is not going to come and pat you on the shoulder and say, take it easy,
okay, just cry on my shoulder.
Yeah, no, he's not. I mean, in his natural self, he won't. Unless perhaps he goes for the advice of Tim LaHaye, spirit control temperament. Okay. Then the Spirit of God is able to help you modify, adjust, and realign yourself so that you reflect more of the beauty of Jesus. That's very, very important.
Which is key for what I believe people must take from the discussions over the last few weeks.
Exactly. I mean, one of the strengths of a sanguine is that he enjoys life. So if you have a sanguine as a spouse, you enjoy. Because he likes to create a public image of you.
Okay.
And so he's
put you on a pedestal.
Oh, Charlie, you won't know. Because he's a perpetual optimist.
Okay.
He's set up in today, caught up in today. Everything is friends, and friends.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, you see a sanguine, you never think he has a foe around him. Because he's able to convert his foes into friends. But cholerics, you are my enemy. Okay. Keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered. As long as I'm achieving the goals. And he's just caught up in that. So if you have a spouse who is choleric, if you decide to fight with him all the time, he will just give you cold shoulder.
Yeah.
He's not going to be bothered because
or the silent treatment.
Oh yeah, for him conflict is what actually facilitates his growth.
Okay.
Because he will displace that energy into a project and he's achieving a certain target. So what is it? Unlike the sanguine, who is very compassionate, the choleric is very much a different person altogether.
Wow. We have some very interesting questions coming on. One on Facebook, Clifford, PC surgeon, says a bit quick-tempered and have tried to control, but somewhat difficult. What do you think is the best thing to do?
Well, if you have a quick-tempered person around you, you don't also respond all the time in reactive format.
Okay.
You should now sit back and be more proactive.
Okay.
You sit down and ask yourself, if he decides to do this, these will be my chosen responses.
Okay.
Because you would always lose if it is that you're going to be driven by his actions or her inactions.
What if the temper is resulting in, if you will, physical or verbal abuse?
That's too bad. And I have said it here that verbal or physical abuse is untenable, is unwelcome, is unacceptable, is disparaging of people's dignity, so you don't bring it in at all. Now, if he insults you or she insults you, rains abuses and stuff on you, don't use same on him.
But
because you are playing into his power.
Into his territory.
You see, if you play into his power area, he becomes stronger.
Okay.
And they will operate the mantra that says, I answer a fool in his own ways, otherwise he thinks he's wise. I mean, no. Yours is to pour cold water on his heat. And
how do you do that? Because as we speak today, I believe many women and men are living in such abusive relationships because of the temperament that is built into negative character and behavior.
It's important to agree, all of us must agree that abuse has no place in a union that you call friendship, relationship, or marriage.
Okay.
That's the first step. If there is abuse, raise the issue of the abuse or violations of dignity or personal space to the person you are having in question, if they still do not concede or agree or seem to be bothered by your concern, then you need a third party who is a neutral arbiter.
Okay.
Not your uncle or auntie who is vested, having a vested interest, either
maybe his parents or somebody.
If you do that, because they come with a certain bias already, and the bias also created in them, intentionally or unintentionally, would also inform your posture.
Okay.
So you know, you can even predict that when it is that they say A, is because of that. When they say B, is because of these ones. So if you get a neutral arbiter who can mediate between the two of you, it helps.
It helps.
It could be a pastor, it could be a counselor, a clinician, or somebody who you can trust their judgment. But certainly shouldn't be your friend.
Your friend.
Because your friend comes in and they are also seen as tainted.
Well, they will be seen to be biased towards you in a way.
Exactly. Friends like friends. They love friends. They solidarize with friends.
Okay. Wow. All right. I have this information that there's been an accident on the Tema motorway. Ambulance and police service needed immediately. Again, there's been an accident along the Tema motorway. Ambulance services and police service, please, you're needed there very, very urgently. Thank you. I believe we can continue with our discussion. We pray God help those people involved in this difficult situation. Some WhatsApp message from the UK says, "Hi, Pastor, kindly shed light on how do we deal with people who also have some learning disabilities, such as autism, dyspraxia, and the like, as some of these individuals on this spectrum may have not been diagnosed and will get to adulthood to settle in marriages with their various temperaments."
Yeah, I wouldn't dispute that. I mean, it's possible somebody may have a psychiatric condition.
Okay.
Or some mental destabilization.
Okay.
And it is said that there are people who have mental issues, just that they are not naked, out on the street. So I will concede that you have such situations, because what happens is that the issue of temperament is also very much influenced by childhood training. The kind of training you get in your childhood. Parental love or hate can also influence a person's expressions and the way they engage and relate with their spouse.
Okay.
Now, a person's life experiences, the journey of life, and what it has done to an individual can complicate or make it easy for them to respond in a particular form or fashion. Now, people's education can even influence it, because like last time I said, there are certain workplaces, the routine would cause you to be very reflective, even though you are a very sudden, spontaneous person. So all of a sudden, your spontaneity will diminish. And then now you become very thorough in the way you do your things. And then also the issue of self-discipline and self-regulation. When it's introduced into a person's life, a person who lacks self-restraint and self-control, when it is that they are adjusting in their temperament expressions and motivations, you would see that because of that particular trait that they have an exceptional way of handling their weakness.
Okay.
You see, we should not allow a situation where people glorify their weakness and indulge their weakness because, this is my temperament.
This is who I am. This is how I am. You take it or leave it.
No, because we've said that temperaments can be modified.
That's true.
Can be improved upon, can be worked at, and it can dramatically change.
Okay.
Depending on the context or setting in which the person finds themselves. So you have a natural disposition of a temperament, and then you have an adapted one.
Okay.
They adapt it for a particular reason. Because they have to achieve new targets or new ends.
Okay. Also on WhatsApp, it says, "My wife and I are cholerics. What will be your best advice for managing our relationship?" This one from Dan.
Dan, that's a big one.
Okay.
I mean, because you're both project driven, and it's easy for you to carry office job to the house.
Okay.
And keep working and not talking and not engaging. So there will be the need for both of you to understand that this is how we are.
Okay.
But there are certain things that we need, some skill sets that we need to develop in order to be able to minimize the adverse part or the weaknesses in us, so that we maximize and enhance the use of our strengths.
Okay. One says, hello, good evening. I'm the type that always wants to help people mostly and quick to myself. Where do I belong? This one from Patrick.
Most likely you'll find them in the sanguine, because the sanguine tends to be very people-oriented. I mean, they want to help. They are flying kites.
And quit himself.
Yeah. And the phlegmatics also can do that.
Okay. One says, good evening, good show. Please, can you go over the personality traits, please? Baba, that's going to be tough to do now. But one moment, because we're almost running out of time, and there are a few more questions we need to deal with. But he said, I'm in a relationship with, but I call him sometimes, and he does not pick up and reply my text too. I don't know where he lives for a year and 6 months now, but he knows my house. I have called the relationship up. Please, what personality trait does such a person have, Pastor?
Yeah, Baba, it's difficult to proffer one for him, because I may need some more information to be able to profile him as a person.
Okay. One from, you didn't say your name, but he says, Pastor, can I get a recording of today's program? I wish to listen to it again with my partner later. She's not around me yet now. Okay.
We could get you the links.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah. And
then you can get into it. Another one from the UK. He says, hi, Pastor Ransford. I'm Florence in the UK. Hello, Florence. How are you doing? He says, trust you're well. We're doing well. Thank you for asking. Thanks for the counselor on the program. I would like you to share his details and further information. Thanks for the response on my previous question. You're welcome, my dear. Thank you, Florence. So you will get Amos Kevin-Annan's contact definitely before we...
Yeah, tonight I'll put it out. Okay. And those who would have a WhatsApp to me, I can get the links to them. Okay.
Nana Andy Nkrumah, doctor. Okay, which one is it? Andy says, I understand I'm melancholic and choleric. The choleric is recessive and only manifests when my heart is fully activated on circumstances that calls for emergency measures and decisions.
Exactly.
He knows himself, right?
Exactly. That's an apt description.
Okay. He says, I get angry upon the climax of golden cause. I know my temper is very bad, so I use space to protect my loved ones from being influenced by it. Besides that, I am pure melancholic, always thinking and skillful at solving complex problems. I love me. I'm awesome. This I know. Yeah.
You are fearfully and wonderfully
made. And I can add that you're crazy.
But it's good. You see, when you have a person who knows himself that well, I mean, when you read that text, it says, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and I know this fully well.
Okay. Yeah.
Self-awareness.
You have to
and
know
you can see how he oscillates between the two.
The two, yeah.
Because one is triggered during emergency, and that's when it's needed, because you're quick on your feet to take decisions. And your project, you want to finish it.
Okay.
Then you come to the melancholy, where you are thorough, analytical, compliant, and ensuring that standards are observed and kept. That's an awesome combination, because it is said that amongst all the temperaments, the melancholy is the best.
It's interesting. They have their negative side.
They do. Yeah. Because of their thoroughness, their compliant nature, and the way they do their things. So it is, they could be perfect gentlemen as well.
This is where I probably want to ask this question. How do we then manage our temperament's weaknesses?
Well, for instance, if you look at the sanguine would have at least, let me mention 4 weaknesses. He's weak-willed. He could be restless.
Okay.
He could be egocentric, and he could be overly emotional.
Wow.
So if you're a sanguine, you have to be careful when you are around decision making. Ensure that you don't make decisions for the future on the spur of the moment, because you are vulnerable in that area, because you are emotionally excited. Now, you're restless. Oftentimes you are not yourself, but you will not agree you are not yourself. You know, now when you come to the choleric, he tends to be self-sufficient, impetuous, cruel, and hot-tempered.
Wow.
That's how people perceive them, that these are their weaknesses. So if you're a choleric, you should also not get to a frame of mind that says, me, myself, and I. That's dangerous. I can handle it.
Yeah.
I'm big. I'm okay.
Take me or leave me.
Exactly. You've got to watch that. You don't have to appear to be insensitive to people, because people around you can easily misconstrue your self-sufficiency as a posture of marginalizing or neglecting them. Now look at the phlegmatic. The phlegmatic, on the other hand, is indolent, is teasing, could be stubborn, indecisive, and unstable. Now, so if you're one who is phlegmatic, there's a need for you to pay attention to this, because teasing may be good for you, but not everybody embraces teasing. Especially a choleric doesn't like teasing. And then a phlegmatic can even be worse off when you tease them, because they themselves are down already. They are not really excited about the things. But a sanguine, for instance, wouldn't mind teasing, and he would tease you in return. Now, look at the melancholy, for instance. The melancholy, when you look at his mood swings, I mean, he's a person who is driven largely by moods, changing moods, and could be very self-centered and self-seeking in their nature. So this is a weakness they have. They need to be aware of it so that they can work at it. I mean, they could also be very critical because of their nature. They also are very pessimistic, unlike the sanguine, who is a perpetual optimist. The melancholy is the direct opposite of the sanguine. Whilst the sanguine is perpetual optimist, the melancholy could be perpetual pessimist. Wow. And these things, that's why it's always helpful if you have somebody with a different temperament in your life, because they help smoothing your life, sharpen the rough edges. But usually that's also the sore point of conflict.
So, I mean, what would you advise, for instance, if two people are dating now and they are projecting into marriage and they realize that they're almost the same temperament traits? You don't think it's a smart idea?
It's not a threat.
It's not a threat.
It's not a threat. You see, the whole thing is about knowing first, knowing yourself. There was this show on one of the TV networks a few years, knowing you, knowing me.
Knowing me,
You know, and sometimes it says it takes two to tango.
Yeah, true.
You know him, she knows you, and it's easy to predict the frame of mind and the logical sequence of each other. Now, having known that, you now have to find a way of adjusting, so that you don't appear to always be predicting. I knew you were going to say that.
and sometimes they're thinking that can spark conflict.
Exactly. You know, for me, you don't even have to open your mouth. I know what you're thinking. So you almost become like a mind reader.
Yeah, and then the partner will feel prejudged.
Exactly. So you are not going to create room for them to even be something other than what you're thinking.
What are you thinking? Esther from Birmingham says, hello, Pastor. I love solitude. I have few friends and I'm emotional. Who am I?
You're emotional.
And she likes solitude.
You could be partly melancholy and partly choleric. Yeah.
Edmond in PS Global Estate says, hello, I'm sanguine and I know myself very well, so I don't make decisions on the spot.
Yeah, get somebody to help you.
I do them when I'm alone, but I know God make me special. Please kindly get me the link so I could listen to the program again. Great program. Thank you, Edmund, and God bless you. Thank you for taking the time to listen. One says, I am reserved and quick-tempered. I also fear a lot. Where do I belong?
You are reserved. Quick-tempered. You could be phlegmatic. The phlegmatic, sometimes they would not be ruffled, but sometimes too they can be ruffled. But largely they are very good at controlling their emotions. And they are redrawn in the way they do their things. Hard to get them to the boiling point. Yeah.
Andy from Medina says, please, can I get the link also? I'm a first-time listener, but I'm truly interested in this topic. Okay, Andy, we'll certainly pass on the link to you in a moment. Meantime, we'll have maybe about a few minutes to wrap this up today. But just in case you want to join us on the phone lines, you can call 0302-216541. Maybe just a few calls. 0302-216541. Okay, or you can use 6841. 0302-216841. So, I can ask this question also on the impact of temperaments within the marriage setting.
Well, you see, all that we have discussed shows you how temperaments can impact relationship broadly.
Okay.
Now, when you transpose that into marriage, you're looking at a context where two individuals have taken certain vows, for better and for worse. Others for best, for better, for best, depending on where you find yourself. I mean, whatever the vows that you have taken, now the vows are going to be tested. And this is where the challenge arises.
Okay. Wow.
So if you took it for better, for worse, now you see, you get attracted to the person's strengths. Now you're going to dwell with your weakness and managing the weakness. And that can be very frustrating. Very frustrating.
It makes people to walk out of the marriage.
It's easy.
Yeah,
it's easy.
I hear comments like, we're not compatible anymore. And then, therefore, they walk out of the relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is unfortunate because I have always asked the question, why is it that people are able to work on projects, achieve corporate targets, when it is that they have serious issues against each other? And then we go to marriage and we just easily walk out.
Yeah, they just abandon it.
Because, see, many go with the mind of enjoying. But there is also another aspect of marriage, which is endurance. So it's not just enjoyment, but it's also endurance. Are you willing to endure?
You need to make up your mind.
Enjoy?
Yeah.
Whilst you enjoy, there should be seasons of endurance. I mean, it's an uphill task.
Okay.
And it's a valley.
Okay. We can maybe touch on this one. How do temperaments affect divorce?
For instance, a sanguine could make a quick decision, take a quick decision, or make a choice to divorce. And thereafter, when they reflect on it, they regret the decision.
They said, I've seen one before.
If you look at the melancholy is thorough in his analysis of a decision-making process. So, when he takes a decision to divorce, it is difficult to persuade them to change their mind.
Okay. All right. I believe we have a call on the line. Agnes from Airport Residential area. Hello, Agnes. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I was wondering if you could give me the link.
Agnes, definitely will pass you the link before we sign out today. Okay?
Great. Much appreciation.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us on A Walk with Jesus tonight.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Quite loads of messages coming through on. So we're talking about the
impact of these on divorce.
On divorce.
I mean, and that's the thing, because see, one is thorough in the analysis, and therefore when they make a conclusive statement, you can't change their mind. The other is spontaneous in the nature, in decision making. So when they take a decision, it's usually on the spur of the moment. Mejao. They will ring. And then they throw it
they can throw it at you.
Exactly. You know, and then later, 2-3 days, they are now reflecting, brooding over it, chewing the cud of the decision that they made. And then they realize how much unfair they have been in their conclusions.
They can come to the pastor and say, please, can you go and beg my wife?
Go beg my wife. She has my ring. And say, how did she get it? Say, you ask her.
Oh, wow.
So that's it. I mean, and the person who is also outdoorsy, I mean, he's out there, he's chilling and chilling, say, oh, well, I don't care, you can pack.
Yeah.
Stay home and be dry. Whilst I'm out there, I'm excited.
One says, good evening. I love this topic, Pa. Thanks so much. Thank you also for listening. One says, hello, nice discussion. Kindly pass the link to me. That's from Abdul. We will, Abdul, in a moment. Hi, can one grow out of his or her nature?
Yes.
This one from
if you listen to the first part and the second part, we dealt with that. I mean, temperaments are not cast in stone or gold, tablets of gold. They can be modified, they can be improved and made better.
Okay. Emmanuel from Kolebu. Good evening. Hello, Emmanuel. Oh, sorry. I think we lost Emmanuel. Maybe one more call and then we'll wrap it up. I don't think that we have too much time now. One says, I'm not difficult to convince, Frederick. I mean, that's okay. Please, there is there a research on the percentage of divorce caused by differences in temperament?
I haven't read that.
Okay.
I could follow up on that.
You could research on that and maybe make us get some information.
It hasn't crossed my mind to do the specific search, but I'll do that.
Okay. One says, I easily make friends, love to solve other people's problems, quick-tempered, and could be emotional sometimes. Who am I? Christopher.
Sanguine, melancholy, choleric.
Okay, I believe Emmanuel is back on the line. Hello, Emmanuel.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on A Walk with Jesus tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear you. Hello, Emmanuel.
Hello.
Yes, we're listening to you. Oh, sorry. Okay, we can't take any more calls. So we should be getting ready to wrap this up in a moment.
I mean, for those who want to do further reading on the subject, the other time I think I put out some titles that they can look out and get.
Okay.
I would put it out again so that they can get it. The first one is titled Understanding How Others Misunderstand You.
Okay.
This is by Ken Vorgis and Ron Brand. The second one is Tim LaHaye's book. It's titled Why You Act the Way You Do. I mean, he sold over 10 million copies of this. It's a very good book. Now, those who want the link, graciously, Michaela sent it to me by WhatsApp. So I have it in my WhatsApp.
Okay.
And it is 0266 803285. If you send me a WhatsApp, I can forward the links to you.
Can you go over it again?
0266 803285. I would send you the first two editions, and hopefully in the course of the week, the third one will be available.
The third one.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. I believe that we have enjoyed ourselves sharing into the wisdom in breaking this temperaments down so people can have a better understanding of who they are and how that reflects on their relationships and all. Thank you so very much. God bless you.
Thanks.
God bless you. I believe we have one comment. Okay. On Facebook, ICGC Dr. Temple, we thank God for the life of John Mobi on her new album, Deep Worship, which was launched yesterday. Okay. John Mobi, congratulations.
Hey, I'm going to Doxa.
You today, right now?
No. Next month.
Next month. Good on you. We wish you the very best.
Yes.
God bless you. I mean, but it's been really, really exciting and insightful.
It's an honor.
We thank God for your life, and we pray that God's grace will abound to you even more for you to continue impacting our generation.
Endeavor to bring me back.
I will.
I have to sign my name in there. A Walk with Jesus list.
I will take you up on that, and I'll make sure Michaela chases you for that. Many thanks to my production assistant today, Beryl Richtap. Yes, indeed, rich name. It's a very rich name. My name is Ransford. I must say, blessed to be here. Many thanks to Elder Amos Kevin-Annan, who's a life coach and a marriage counselor. Join us on the Walk with Jesus for the last 3 weeks. Been really exciting and insightful. I believe you learned something that can help you a great deal. Keep on sharing it and keep on discussing with your loved ones and family and help them out to build better homes and to build better nations and better institutions and communities. The Lord bless you. Definitely tomorrow we'll see you. I'll be on Joy Time in His Presence at 4 a.m. So make sure that you wake up early. I'm going home now. Uncle Ken is up next with Jazz on Joy. Good night. Keep your dials locked on Joy 99.7. Bye-bye now.